What's up, y'all? We are back with yet another video. Now, last week I made a video where I talked about why people would like to watch anime over a live-action TV show, and in that I talked about an anime called The God of High School, which I think is one of the better anime that came out this year, but that's not saying much because this year we had a huge slowdown of anime content because of the recent things that have happened inside of the world. So because of that, we haven't had a whole lot of anime coming out this year. So saying that it's one of the better ones of 2020 isn't really saying that much about it, because quite frankly, The God of High School is trash. Now, before I say that it's trash and everybody starts hopping on me saying that it's not trash and that I'm stupid and I don't understand culture and that I'm just not a man of the superior intellect that everybody else is, I want to say that the reason why it's trash is simply just because it's not fleshed out enough. There's not enough plot to go off of. And now, last week I did say that the plot of it was a lot more fleshed out and better than Cobra Kai, but simply what I was saying is just that in the terms of it as a show as a whole, it's better than Cobra Kai, and it only has 12 episodes to go off of, so it really had to put a lot into a little bit. Simply, it needed work. But let's delve into that in this week's video, where I tell you guys why this show sucked and what it could have done to be better. So for starters, even though I said that it sucks, I would like to say that it is actually amazing in the animation department. The animation is so fluid, it's amazing. It has its own feel to it. Like, it doesn't feel like any other anime out there, mainly because it's an import, so it's not made in Japan, but it still has such a unique feel, and the art is so different, and the dimensions of everything flow so well, and the characters feel like they have weight to them, and the movement is fluid and superb, and I can't compliment the animation of this show quite enough, honestly. I mean, the animation is amazing. It's perfect. The studio that you can thank for such a beautiful animation and this beautiful style and artwork inside of this show is MAPPA. MAPPA is a animation studio that started in 2011, and it was founded based off of a former founder and a former person at Madhouse Studios. Anybody who doesn't know Madhouse Studios shouldn't even be watching anime, because Madhouse is one of the OGs of animation, and they've been putting in work on some of the most amazing shows on the face of this planet. Mainly just a few off the top of my head are Hellsing Ultimate, and Drifters. Drifters is a fantastic show. There's plenty more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Go check out anything that Madhouse has put out. And honestly, with the way that MAPPA did The God of High School, I would say go check out anything that MAPPA's put out, because MAPPA is putting themselves on the map as one of the most amazing animation networks on the face of the planet. By the way, if you don't believe that they have the credentials to make an anime that you can watch, some of the anime that they've produced are Hajime no Ippo The Rising, which, as you know, is one of my faves. Kakegaruri, and the final season of Attack on Titan is one that they're producing for this year. So they have a pretty good resume of shows that they've produced. And on top of that, God of High School, I can't say it enough, has crisp animation and it looks really freaking good. So that's also another one. Now that I've talked about the good things in the show, which was just basically the animation style and the fact that the fighting in it is very realistic. Like, I mean, a lot of things that they put in there are real fighting moves. Like, they're not just like throwing their legs and arms around. Like, they're doing real fighting moves. I mean, there's a scene where somebody gets taken down, there's an arm bar attempted, there's a choke out, there's a flying knee, there's a roundhouse kicks. I mean, they got everything in the martial arts department that you could think of. So I mean, yeah, it's got some good martial arts in there for you. But that's enough of the good stuff. Now we're on to the bad stuff, and it's a pretty big list. So number one on the list of bad things, honestly, is just the flashbacks. They have way too many flashbacks in the show, and the flashbacks are meant to give you the backstory of the characters, but they should not have given you the backstory of the characters in the middle of the show, because you have these characters and you're like, I think I like them because Morihjin likes them, but then you see a backstory and you're like, well, that's stupid. I already liked them before the backstory, and now I just don't know how to feel about them. Or you don't like them and you see the backstory and you do like them, but the backstories don't work. Flashbacks don't work as a literary device or a plot device in order to get you to like a character. You like them upon first meeting them, or you don't. The flashback or the backstory doesn't really do anything. And that's a huge trope in anime that follows through. I mean, almost all anime has the flashback, the backstory, where they tell you things as the scene is happening, but it just doesn't work in this sense because they only have 12 episodes and they introduce their characters really early in the series, but then they give you flashbacks later in the series. I mean, you already kind of have a feel for who the character is. What's the point of the flashback? It just doesn't work in this sense of how they do it. Secondly, I feel like this anime is one that definitely could have benefited from 24 or 36 episodes inside of the season, because they just have way too much of this story crammed inside these 12 episodes. It seems like you kind of picked up the story in the middle of where the story took place, and then they just kind of started giving you flashbacks to fill you in, and it doesn't work because you're confused from episode 1, which generally turns people off, and then episode 2 hits and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I like the animation. The animation is really what saves this show and keeps you invested in it, because aside from that, the plot just seems like you're stuck right in the middle of it and told to figure it out with flashbacks and with what's currently going on. And it seems like all the characters know each other, but you don't know how they know each other. Like, the guy's like, oh, that's Maury Jean. I know who that guy is. And you're like, who is this guy? And how does he know the main character? I don't even know the main character. The main character's new to me. So how does he know him? The third thing that kind of breaks this one wide open for me is the characters as a whole. The characters all seem like they're tropey. Like they're all just a trope character. They all seem like a formatted character from every other anime that they just stuck in and they were like, bang. Like Maury Jin is basically Goku. His friend is the broody guy that like tries to be a jerk but isn't a jerk, and he's doing everything for a friend. The girl is Sakura, basically, where she's like definitely not the strongest of the group, but like acts like she can contend when she clearly can't. I mean, every single character in the show, when you see them, you're like, that's a character from another show. Like they don't feel individual, they don't feel unique, they don't feel different. They all just feel like carbon copies of the other characters from other shows that you've watched, and that kind of kills it for you because, as I've mentioned in point number 1, they have these flashbacks to flesh out these characters, but these characters already feel like carbon copy characters. So then you give these flashbacks and people are like, why am I doing a flashback? I don't care. Most of the people who watch this show are just watching for the superb animation, the amazing martial arts, and the fact that it's a Korean-based manga, or whatever they call mangas in Korea. I think it's manhwas or manhwas, something like that. They took it and they created into an anime in Japan. So I mean, that's the real reason why this show has gained so much traction. And I think it's like, it was the good show to pick. It was a really good manga for them to pick up and decide to turn into an anime, because it shows that they're going to outside of themselves to get content for them to animate and turn into anime. And I really like that. I think that's dope. I've been calling for that for a long time. I think they should have been doing that from the get-go. But, you know, people don't listen to what I think. So, The God of High School is, I'd say, like a 5 out of 10 anime. The animation in it is what puts it into the 5 out of 10 category. They just needed, I think, a few more episodes to flesh out the plot of the show. And honestly, that would have helped them flesh out the characters as well, because they could have started from further back in the story. They could have built up the characters a little bit more. This show's like the opposite of Naruto, where Naruto had a long stretch of like time and it fleshed out these characters so well, but you're just like, yo, too much filler. This show did not have a whole lot of time, and it's like, hey, information. You're like, oh no, I don't need all this. So go check out God of High School. I still think it's a really good anime, and I think it definitely is something that you should watch, and you should peep out simply for the martial arts and for the action of it. I mean, if you don't like action anime, this is not the one for you, because this is all action. Every episode they just boxing, they throwing hands straight up in each other's face. So go check out the God of High School. That's it for me, y'all. I'm Kevin. I'm out. Peace.
I must confess, yeah, I'm doing well. What goes around comes around like a carousel, and the haters keep on watching and paying attention. You sending shots, well, I'm sorry, I can't even tell. I envision going out to eat with dim lights, get in my suit tailored, make sure that it fit right. Bank account looking like I sell cocaine. To think a couple years ago I was a no-name. In the city with a 10 where I wanna stay. Downtown Cincinnati each and every day. Top flow Chardonnay on a Saturday. I take this shit year to year, boy, you day to day. Yeah, old friends ask where I been. They always want to feature and they ask if I'm in. I tell them whatever I tell them and I keep it moving. Years ago they never called, I find it amusing.